Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna 543XP chainsaw. The customer complaint is that it's just not running right. It kind of bogs. But the customer also stated that he bought a set of carb adjustment tools online and maybe created that bog while he was trying to turn up his chainsaw. So I don't think he really knew what he was up to. And now he's kind of lost in the carburetor adjustments. But I did convince him to let me look at the saw a little bit here instead of just trying to adjust it where it belongs. And it's a good thing we did because you can see this fuel filter is pretty dark. The fuel line's alright though. That pressure tested okay. We put 10 pounds on there and it held. So I'm just going to kind of go through this like I would most any other repair. It's just when I'm sniffing around trying to find a problem. Let's look under the hood and see what we got going on there. The 543, I don't think it's made anymore. If you're going to ask me what that bar is for, you can see that the wind is trying to blow the greasy shop rag off the bench. And that's just to keep that thing from getting moved around. Especially if I run the saw, I don't need the wind blowing the towel up into the chain. So the 543 is one of the few Husky saws that was built in Japan. Just your little factoid for the day. Air filter, from here it looks a little bit dusty. It's a nylon mesh style filter. My Thexton spark plug removal tool seems to be stretched out a little bit and it didn't want to spin that plug out of there. We're going to take a closer look at that in a little bit here. Alright, looking in the cylinder, it looks good. I mean, if he leaned this thing out, he didn't run it very long. So, I mean, I'm not selling these or promoting these spark plug removal tools. I just like them. I think they work well. But this one here, it's got a lot of miles on it. The short one I'm looking at. And it doesn't quite have the same, I think it's stretched out is what I think happened. The long one doesn't get used a lot and is really flexible, and the other one seems a little hard. Maybe from putting it on hot spark plugs has done that. I'm not sure. It's probably a couple years old. So I had this bright idea. I was just going to trim it up, right? Like when you got a piece of fuel hose that's deformed on the end. That's not a good idea because this rubber boot actually was tapered down to a lower size at the end. So now I ruined it for sure. Yeah, but stuff happens. So as long as it's ruined, I just wanted to open it up and see what gave it all that weight. And taking a razor blade and splitting it open, we're going to find what's in there. Take a guess. A bolt. Number 2, butter bolt. I don't know why I like that. I just think it's efficient, I guess. Instead of making a special weight for it, just source something cheap and work around that. Alright, I guess we should run this thing and see what it actually sounds like. Garbage. It sounds like garbage. Won't even run. I'm checking the adjustment screws, and you know the limiters on these are designed so that there's a range that you can adjust with a regular slotted screwdriver. Garbage. There's a range you can adjust with a slotted screwdriver, but you can move that whole range with the special adjustment tool. And I'm sure that's what he did. The screws are at their max rich setting in the position that he's got the limiters set at, which is too lean, I think. So if you thought, well, maybe it's just a dirty fuel filter that's causing this problem, you know, we're going to find that out right now. Let's prime it up. Anytime you put a new fuel filter on or you run out of fuel in the tank, make sure you prime it at least 6 times. Garbage. Make sure you prime it at least 6 times because there's usually some fuel in the line, and when you push the primer bulb, it feels firm. But if you continue to push the primer bulb, you're going to end up picking up that air pocket, and then if you continue to push the primer bulb, you'll end up picking up the fresh fuel again. I've seen a lot of people have this problem when they run out of fuel and they try and restart the saw. They say, well, I pushed the primer bulb and it felt good, but you pushed it 2 times and you were just pumping the fuel that was already in the bulb in the line. You need to pump it enough times to get past that air bubble. So, we know the fuel filter wasn't the problem. We still suspect it was just his carb adjustment, but we have permission to dig into the carb,
right.
So that's what we're going to do.
Scrunch.
Handy dandy scrunch to the rescue. But it didn't even rescue me there. I know the screw is unthreaded from the intake, but it just was kind of bound in the carburetor and the air filter base. So I had to screw it back out. Alright. This saw is built a little different than most of the Husky lineup, but it's pretty simple. Alright, we're going to look at another tool. So in the past you saw that I ground some pieces of tubing into fuel line removal tools. So this is an old Craftsman snap ring pliers. I didn't want to wreck it. Actually, this one here I purchased online to modify, and you can see that I put a curve in the end of the on the end of the pliers and kind of narrowed it down to kind of match that tool that I had made. So this is going to be a fuel line removal tool. That's how I would use the standard screwdriver style. And this is my little experiment. And it works pretty good. I don't know, I just like making tools, and that one seemed kind of handy. Let's try it on this impulse line. I mean, the line wasn't on there super tight, but you can see how well that tool actually works. Alright, once the screws and the lines are off, I mean, it comes right out of there. Got a lot of schmutz on the bottom of this carb. We'll clean that off of there. Got a lot of schmutz in the bottom there too, in the carburetor tray. None of that has anything to do with the way it's running. But we'll clean it up. Looks like it was a rainy day outside. The wind's blowing the rain right in the door. Alright, let's get our carb stand out and open this thing up. What do you think we're going to find in here? Stiff metering diaphragm? Stretched metering diaphragm? Or just perfectly normal? A little bit of dirt on this side. That's not a running issue problem. Let's pop that diaphragm off of there. It's stuck on there pretty good. Still don't know if it's stiff. And what we have is a little bit stiff, just kind of getting there. And it holds a memory when you move it one way or the other. But it's really not stiff enough, I don't think, to affect our running problem. It might. Kind of borderline. Either way, now that it's opened up, that's going to have to get replaced. And I say that because it would be silly to put it back in there knowing that it's nearing the end of its life. The fuel pump diaphragm, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. It's not great, but it's about the same way as the metering diaphragm. Clean up a little bit. So I want a carb kit for this thing. And we see it's a Walbro carburetor. And then somewhere on the body of the carburetor, it's going to give a model. And see if I can find it for you. Right there, it's an HD. And then it's a 54B. So when I look up the kit, it's going to be a Walbro HD 54B. And the kit that comes back for that is a K10 HD. All right. Metering diaphragm side. We're just going for the soft parts here. We'll put the gasket down. And the new diaphragm. Just checking the style of that little metal plate and making sure the depth of the pin is the same. The part that pushes on the metering lever. We'll get this screwed back down. One of the screws was hiding under the magnet. Alright, on this side we have a micro screen. Looks fine. You know, that fuel filter was dirty, but it must have done its job and not let anything past. This is our fuel pump. You'll notice that the old one had the blue acetate pump, and the new pump is going to be the brown Teflon one, which I'm told is a higher volume and higher durability pump than the blue and the black ones. So we're glad to see that go in there. Alright, this little bushing, I don't know where it goes. We'll figure it out. So if you don't like trying to figure these things out, then you probably ought to take pictures when you take it apart. I do take pictures once in a while. And if I did, I might know whether or not that little white plastic washer was part of this saw or not. I don't think it was. I don't remember ever seeing it before in a 543. But if you have, let me know, because I didn't put it back in the saw. Alright, we're getting oriented here a little bit. There's only two places this line could go, so we'll pick one. And that line I just put on there, pay attention to where it is right now. It's kind of going underneath that idle adjustment screw, the big plastic screw near the recoil handle. And I'm going to have to change that. Alright, the carburetor is sitting where it needs to be. We're getting the impulse hose lined up. We got, I think we got our throttle linkage on there, don't we? Yep. And now our choke lever. And that little orange piece that goes in the face. That all looks good. But that first fuel hose I pointed out, I don't like that. I don't like that routing at all. It's kind of kinking the hose. And I just realized that that really should go over the top. We never sold a lot of 543s, so I haven't had a lot of them come back for repair. And the routing of that hose isn't something that I guess something that I would have naturally remembered. Oh, I'll probably remember it now that I made a video about it. Looks good. Air filter base. By setting the choke, I'm getting that choke butterfly out of the way so I can slide that base down in there. Otherwise, I don't think you can get it to go very easily. Setting the clutch on our driver to a light setting so we don't get carried away and strip anything. And, I don't know, oh, another screw. There's a screw that goes down through the base as well. Alright, we're going to fire this thing up, and if it runs perfect, we know it was a carburetor problem. And if it needs carburetor adjustment, then we know that everything we did was just to bring it up to date as far as tune-up. And the whole problem was just the homeowner getting carried away with an adjustment screwdriver. Now, I do want to point out that an air leak could cause the same kind of problem, but that is not the case here. But I want you to know that that's something you might need to check. So that's all I'm going to have for you on the Husqvarna 543XP chainsaw. It wasn't running quite right because the homeowner got carried away with an adjustment tool. Thanks for watching. Later.